This video is meant for complete absolute beginners. If it's your first time or you are new to the aspect of bioinformatics, programming, data science, then this video series is going to be helpful for you. But even for those ones who already have some basics, the video series can also be helpful because it can help to patch some information that you are not recalling so well. You can still follow this video series where we'll be diving into Linux for bioinformatics and data science in general. Now, why Linux? Why is it? For people who are still beginners, Linux is subbed or is distributed under the Ubuntu. In other words, like you have things like Windows, now you have Ubuntu, there are so many different operating systems. Linux is literally a subsection of Ubuntu. Let me call it that way. Most of the things you will be doing, you'll be doing it over Linux terminal in most cases. And if you have Ubuntu installed in your computer as its operating system, then by default you will already be having a Linux terminal with you, already be having that terminal available. You can literally just begin using programming on Linux. It therefore means that if you want to dive into the field of bioinformatics, you will need to learn Linux. So you will need to have some form of Ubuntu in some one way or another. What people do, some people tend to change all of their operating system. If their PC was using Windows, they then change it to Ubuntu completely, and then they use it. Some people use what you call the subsystem. Me personally, I use a subsystem. My computer is running in Windows, but if I want to run Ubuntu Linux, here I have it available here. So I have here a Linux subsection. So there's Ubuntu operating system. So Ubuntu, if you see here, this is Ubuntu, is the operating system. Then down here it's named as Linux. They go hand in hand together. Ubuntu, Linux, they go hand in hand together. But my PC itself, it has Windows. I'm running Windows. So that's what you call a subsystem. Me, I'm running a Linux subsystem in my Windows PC. So it allows me to still use my Windows, but also at the same time, I can also be accessing Linux. What some people also do, some people download or install Ubuntu alongside Windows. You find that if you power on your PC has to decide which operating system it has to use. You can put two operating systems in your laptop or in your machine, and during logging in, you can decide to use either the operating system Ubuntu, or you can decide to use Windows. That's just another alternative, but that requires you to have good RAM and good storage space in general, hard disk and all that. Now, if it's your first time then, or if you're a beginner, if you do not have Ubuntu, you can install Ubuntu. So you can just go to ubuntu.com, then you look for desktop version, to download a desktop version. From experience, for you, if you are going to install Ubuntu for the first time, you should be having a machine which is working. In most cases, you'll be having Windows running. You need to be having like Windows, because you need to access these browsers for you to download the setup for Ubuntu operating system. Go on this website, download this using your Windows, and you can download the latest version. The latest as per today is 2.04. You can download the latest version and then you install. When you install, you can then choose to delete Windows, then you want to remain with Ubuntu, or you can have both operating systems working if that is going to be okay for you. Now, it is pretty simple to follow. There is a whole of the step you can undergo to install your Ubuntu operating system. And if you happen to go on ubuntu.com and then you go to installing Ubuntu within Ubuntu Desktop, there's an installation step and it is well lined out. Overview, download Ubuntu, create a bootable disk, boot from the USB flash disk, and all this information is available. So just follow the step and ensure you install it within your machine. What I just have to tell you in advance is that preferably you should be having at least 25 GB of storage space, because the different files for which the Ubuntu must run will be within that storage space. You should have that in your storage space. But if you're having a flash drive, then you need about 12 GB and above for it to run. In terms of the RAM, the random access memory, you need about 4 GB. My experience, it's enough for it to run successfully. That should get you going. Now, what if you do not want to remove your Windows? You can then install the Linux subsystem like how I did. What you do, you just come to the ubuntu.com, look for the Windows Subsystem, WSL, the Windows Subsystem for Linux. You look for whether it can fit your version, your Windows version. And again, it also has steps you can follow. PowerShell is available in everybody's Windows. If you have Windows from Windows 10, I believe, you should, if you type PowerShell, I have Windows 10. Yes, PowerShell is available. Run as administrator. So if you have Windows 10, you can even do this now. Just type PowerShell on your start menu. You'll find PowerShell in there. So the step tells you just go PowerShell, run as administrator. That is from your Windows, and then you put this command WSL space -- install. This is Windows Subsystem Linux, something like the Linux subsystem, something like that. And so let me see, PowerShell. Me, I already have it. I'm not going to run this, but for you, if you want to go through this tutorial, you can just install this. You need to be having your internet connection on, because it will be pulling the setup from the servers from wherever it's located, and it will be installed in your local machine. Again, it's free of charge. That's why Ubuntu is also very cool. It's free of charge. Just follow this setup. After installing, then you will need to download an app where your Ubuntu run, because if this is for the people who are running the subsystem. If you do the subsystem, it will of course install for you some sort of like what I was showing you in here, some Linux section in here. But for you to then access it, because you have Windows running, it means that you have to have some sort of a software. You need to install the Ubuntu app. And Ubuntu apps are again freely available within your app store, your Microsoft app store. Just go to your Microsoft App Store, search for Ubuntu. So just go into Start System. If you type apps, it should be able to give you give you an app store. And if this one, apps, Microsoft App Store. If you open Microsoft App Store, you then search for Ubuntu. If you search for Ubuntu, it will give you so many possible apps that you can install. Each of these apps, if you install, it will automatically connect with the Ubuntu you installed, the subsystem you installed within your machine, and then you'll be able now to access. Now, I installed this latest version. So it's the first one. It's here, install. Just click download, install. It will install itself, and then it will be able to remain integrated within your machine. How can you then access your Ubuntu? How can you begin doing programming, running basic commands in your Ubuntu?